I'm quite impressed that Tottenham not only did beat Karabakh, which is a decent team, 3-0 with only 10 men for the majority of the game, but also their showing against Manchester United at the weekend was very, very impressive. So I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in Budapest. Hello, my name is Áron Aranyossy. I'm a sports journalist from Hungary, so I follow a lot of football. And so Chris asked me to talk a little bit about Ferencváros for the upcoming game against Tottenham Hotspur, so let's get to it. Ferencváros, or Fradi, which is their nickname, is the most popular club in Hungary, not just in Budapest, but in the entire country. There are studies that claim that every fifth person in Hungary is a Fradi supporter, so you can imagine the hype around the team when a top league club comes here. So having Tottenham in Budapest is quite a big deal. I think the Premier League is the most popular league in Hungary anyways. And though we are more hyped about Szoboszlai in Liverpool, or Manchester United used to be one of the most popular clubs in Hungary, I think Tottenham is still a very, very appealing opponent to see up close, especially with Son Heung-min, who is a very, very good footballer, but we don't see him because he's Asian, and quite frankly, the Hungarian national team usually does not make the cut for the World Cup, so we don't really have the opportunity to see him at first hand. Now, with that being said, you can imagine that people are very interested in this game, and so I expect the stadium to be full against Tottenham. Fans will be loud and vocal, they will sing a lot, and I expect a little bit of a tifo saying something about Ferencváros or Hungary in general before the game, because that's what they have done in the last few years whenever there was a European match for them. At that point, I should probably mention I have a cat, and I'm so sorry if he makes a lot of noise throughout this video. I hope you can still enjoy it. Now, Fradi is in an interesting position because nobody can really compete with them. Their squad is the strongest. They can financially muscle everyone out of the league. Nobody can really come close to them, and you can see that reflecting in the table right now, because quite frankly, Ferencváros didn't play convincingly, but they still won all their National League games, NB1, which is the top flight in Hungary. That being said, the style of play wasn't really convincing, as I mentioned, but you have to take it into account that Fradi has to play two different ways throughout the season every year, because when it comes to Hungary, teams will defend against Fradi quite a lot. They will park the bus against them. But when they play in Europe, suddenly they are the underdogs and they have to do the same thing. So there's actually two strategies that has to be utilized, which is quite a tough task from any coach, but not just from a coaching perspective, but also for the players who come here have to accept this role of one day being the dominant team and try to crack teams up and win the league game, and then a few days later you have to do the exact opposite. So it takes a lot mentally and physically out of the players. Back to the question of coaches, it's worth mentioning that if we go back 6 years in time, a certain someone you should probably know, Serhij Rebrov, started this whole crazy journey for Ferencváros, because once the financial backing arrived, he also arrived, and he really elevated the level of performances for Ferencváros. Fradi had some European competition in the last 6 years, And Rebrov showed that it is possible for you to do these two strategies at once, one for Europe and one for the domestic matches. But the coach nowadays has a little bit of a different idea of how to run this thing. Now, Ferencváros's head coach is called Pascal Jansen. He is notably the former assistant manager of Arne Slot, who is working at Liverpool at the moment. He was with him at AZ Alkmaar, and he has this very, very Western European idea of managing a team, which is relatively new. There were occasions at Ferencváros when they tried to do that, but it's still considered to be quite new, especially the way he handles media, because he's very vocal, he's very open and earnest about what he wants to do with Fradi. And in Hungary, coaches usually try to keep it a secret of what they are doing to have the upper hand on their opponents. Now, thanks to these open conversations, we know that not only he believes in his system, but he also wants to use his fullbacks as inverted fullbacks. So sort of what you've seen with Trent Alexander-Arnold when the fullback is moving up a little bit to be a midfielder when the team has the ball and tries to attack. Now, the problem is he didn't really have those sort of fullbacks at his disposal, and they also did not sign players who can do that. And the players he has have never tried to play like this, and so it caused a lot of performance issues, and he kind of dropped it by now, to be honest. I don't think Tottenham will see it, but who knows? Maybe he will try something crazy and something new and experiment with this again. Now, Jansen always fielded a starting 11 with the 4-2-3-1 system, but that does not mean that Fradi will go up and try to challenge Tottenham. On the contrary, against Anderlecht, we've seen Ferencváros try to do what they do best in Europe, and that is to sit back, defend, and try to beat the opposition in transition. This is what I expect from Ferencváros from a tactical standpoint. Anderlecht had a lot more possession in the first match in Europa League, and to be honest, Fradi didn't have a lot of action going on up until there was a man sent off from Anderlecht. And since Spurs coming from Premier League, I don't believe they would change the strategy and just full-on try to press Spurs on their own half. Seems sort of a suicidal thing. And so I believe what's going to happen is that Ferencváros will sit behind a little bit in their own half, maybe counter-press every now and then, but tries to be compact, tries to be very, very organized. And once they get the ball, they will try to probably distribute it to either the playmaker, Abu Fani, who plays a lot and is he's a very technical midfielder. He's one of the two defending midfielders, and he has been very pivotal for Jansen in Ferencváros. Now that's one option, or the other option could be the wingers or inside forwards. Depends on how Pascal Jansen will field his team eventually. So in his system, there is two people that I want to mention that you should probably look out for. One of them is Zachariasen. He is an attacking midfielder. He can play on the wing, but his best position is in the middle, and he is a very, very intelligent player. His tactical awareness is great. He is fantastic off the ball. So whenever Fradi has the ball, he can cause a lot of issues cutting through the lines and moving sometimes on the wing, sometimes in just open spaces. He can cause a lot of issues in general for any teams. So if Fradi does have the ball, he can be probably one of the guys who can be utilized in order to open up some space for Tottenham. The other person that I want to mention is Adama Traore. He is a very pacey winger slash inside forward. He has played on both the left side or the right side. He's a left-footed guy, so wherever he plays, you will probably see if he's a winger or an inside forward in this instance, because quite frankly, footballers like to use their better leg, so he's left-footed, so whenever he has the opportunity, he will probably use his left leg, be it on the left or the right side. Now, I mentioned he's quite pacey, he's very quick, his starting speed is really, really good, he's a very potent dribbler as well, so it makes sense to distribute the ball to him and let him do his thing where he runs with the ball and causes some issues. Now, it is entirely possible that Ferencváros will try to push up the fullbacks regardless. Maybe not to the midfield, but if Janssen is fielding inside forwards, then probably that creates space for the fullbacks to go up. This sounds all good and nice and very attacking, and a lot of balls coming into the box. That could be a strategy, but I highly doubt that that's something that could be relied on against such a stronger opponent. If it does happen, Ferencváros has Barnabás Varga up front as a striker, who's really good at pressing and also heading. But unfortunately, he is the guy who got injured at the European Championship against Scotland. Now he does not wear a mask anymore, but he is still sort of recovering from it, because I can honestly say he is not 100% himself right now. But quite frankly, he is Fradi's main man regardless. There is one other person I want to mention, purely for fun, because Fradi signed a guy called Saldanha. He is a Brazilian striker who moves, scores, and looks like Bobby Firmino. And he has been absolutely amazing for Ferencváros, even though he is nowhere near to play 90 minutes. He's usually subbed in for 20-30 minutes. But to give you an idea of how good he has been still is not only the fact that I'm mentioning him right now, but also the fact that in 106 minutes he scored 6 goals in Hungary. So watch out for him if he comes in. There has been some rotation for Fradi in the last league game, but I still believe that Janssen will take no huge changes, and this is the starting 11. He will probably field Dibus in goal. He is a very potent goalkeeper, one of the greatest shot stoppers that we have, and arguably a candidate to be the number 1 goalkeeper for Hungary, besides Peter Gulácsi. The big question is whether Makreckis can play on the right or not, because he is one of the best players in the squad, but he got injured and we don't know if he can make it or not for this particular game. Raul Gustavo is back after his red card. He's going to be paired with Cisse. I think this is the weakest area for Ferencváros, so if Tottenham can punish their lack of confidence and the fact that they still get to know each other really, then there could be some issues in my opinion. Christian Ramirez at the left, as I mentioned, Abu Fani will probably be paired with either Maiga or Romans in the midfield, but I'm going to put my money on Romans. Adama Traore on the right, I'm going to say Zachariasen in the middle, Barnabás Varga up front, which means that we need to put someone on the left, and I think it's going to be either Kari Borges or Kehinde, but I'm going to go with Kari Borges on this one. Now, Chris also asked me to talk a little bit about Tottenham. I want to mention that I really enjoy the press conferences with Ange Postecoglou. I think he's a brilliant guy. He's really entertaining to listen to. And I honestly love his philosophy. I think he makes football fun to watch, which is a rarity because people are often caught up in these tactical debates and strategies to utilize, but he's still at the core is just passionate about scoring goals. And honestly, that's the most fun to watch in football. It may not be always rewarded with results, but sometimes when they do, they go hard. And I'm quite impressed that Tottenham not only did beat Karabakh, which is a decent team, 3-0 with only 10 men for the majority of the game, but also their showing against Manchester United at the weekend was very, very impressive. So I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in Budapest. Another question asked was also the new format, of course, for not only Europa League but also the Champions League. And honestly, I'm not a fan of it, and there's a very good reason for that. So I've read calculations and studies and whatnot about how many points do you need in this new system to go through the next phase. And the usual answer was 10 points, 10-ish, which means you need to win at least 3 games and draw 1. And quite frankly, it's not enough. So one of the reasons the format change was implemented is that people wanted the group phase to be more entertaining, to have more excitement near the end. But quite honestly, I don't see how it could be very exciting when you play more games, but you need the exact same amount of victories to achieve what you want to achieve, really. Now, 10 points could be argued to give you more leeway, and the other reason that was mentioned is that they want to see big teams playing against each other, which sounds good on paper, but when you sit down and think about it, what team is going to push their hardest to win against, let's say, Real Madrid, when they know for a fact that they will play with two teams from pot 2, pot 3, and pot 4? And when you need only 4 victories, the only thing you are going to need to do is beat both pot 4 teams and both pot 3 teams. And then you can have the very relaxing time of not giving, you know what, at the rest of those games. And that's my main issue. We might see that it plays out differently, but that's my main concern. I see it as just 2 more games for no good reason other than grabbing some money. So far, I'm not convinced, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully I'm wrong and we will cherish and love this new format. We'll just have to wait about it. I believe I have went through everything that was asked of me. If you have any further questions, I'm happy to answer you both on Twitter, or if you want to check out my Patreon, that is completely free. You don't have to pay a penny in order to read articles in English. I do write some articles every now and then about Hungarian footballers and the Hungarian league in English, because it's hard to access those sort of informations. I hope that this video was of help, and I'm hoping that we will see a fantastic game on Thursday. So enjoy Hungarian dishes, enjoy great football, and hopefully we'll meet sometimes again. Bye bye!